Hi, guys. I'm going to be looking at the case of Noah Presgrove, um, who passed away mysteriously, so to speak, um, at a party in Oklahoma, out in the countryside. There was a household where the daughter was having a party, birthday party, and he attended. Pardon the wound back in the background. It'll sound like a whoopee cushion, but he attended this party. It kind of sounds like it was a weekend party, if you know what I mean. Like it lasted more than one day. And from what I could gather, Noah, 19 years old, was very much a ladies' man, a nice looking kid, and all around fellow. There's all kinds of footage of the shenanigans that kids were playing around, getting up to, writing on him, and doing all kinds of stuff. But the main thing is that they aren't sure how to classify, or they're saying that they're not sure how to classify the death as, so it's being left as undetermined. So, in other words, they're not going to say whether it was suicide, homicide. They're saying they can't tell. But he died of multiple blunt force trauma to his head, basically, mostly. But he had fractured ribs. He had a score of also injuries that wouldn't have been perhaps clear to the eye. But there was a great deal of damage done to the back of his head. The question is, how did this happen? Now, apparently that night he had been in a rollover vehicle accident with one of the ATVs that they had that's got a roll bar, but he was okay and everything, and I don't think that it damaged the vehicle. But he came, apparently afterward back into the party and carried on. But at some point, he ends up being found on the road with two different shoes on and nothing else. Now, it was really hot, and the guys were typically running around with no shirts on and a pair of shorts, from what I can see from video footage of the party, but and Noah. But oddly placed, it seemed like there was like a broken tooth and his shorts, and I don't know, there may have been other things, a chain that he had been wearing, but there was no vehicle debris, like as if he had been hit by a vehicle. There was nothing to indicate, no marks, no debris or anything like that, other than from his body. And to many people, it looked like he had been placed on that road, because it's just weird. So, if you want further information, please just check out some links that I will put in the description box, and you can refresh your memory. Or you can learn for the first time more in depth about his case. It's worth learning about. It's complicated. And it's complicated because the party went on for more than a day, and it's a well-known family in the town, and I don't think, honestly, that they wanted, whatever the case, however way he ended up as he did, it being connected back to them. But unfortunately, I'm going to tell you something. Pardon my stomach growling and my wound vac, every card reading that I've looked at since I heard about the news a few weeks ago shows that it goes back to the party at the house. It goes back to the house. It goes back to the family. It's kind of got a family cards come up. So I like to keep an open mind though, and let's just see what the consensus is. Let's see what I get now. I want to ask how he got the wounds that caused his death, the blunt force trauma. How did Noah, because from what I understood, they were like at the back of the head. And it's like, to be blunt, literally, it was like the back of his skull was pretty much broken in by blows from something. How you would not call that homicide. He certainly didn't do it to himself. I don't know. So it's one of those small town places where, I mean, I grew up in a small town until I moved out to California. Now I've been out in California longer than I ever lived where I'm from originally. But what was I going to say? In these small towns, there's families that are, that have kind of very insulated by generations of being well known, or they have standing, they have pull. And it reminded me of a few other cases that I've read on. There was, I think his name was Stephen. Oh, anyway, same kind of deal. A country folk having a party, and it carries on. You got underage drinking going on, and it's not just a day, it's over a weekend from what I understood. But I want to know how did Noah Presgrove come to receive the wounds to his skull? And he also had broken ribs. How did he come to receive those? Sorry about the phone as well. How did he come to receive those? So the reading is going to look directly at how he came to have the wounds that caused his death. Okay, let's see what we get. We're getting anxiety and worry. This is a card that keeps coming up too. And I read in pairs, so I'm going to grab the next one. And we have the High Priestess. So this right here is saying, whoever this person is, they're hiding a great degree of anxiety. They might even be having nightmares about it. This would indicate disturbed sleep and disturbed basic peace, to the point that the individual isn't sleeping well. And this card can come up when you're literally having night terrors of some kind, or trouble sleeping by insomnia, or maybe a troubled conscience. And that's what I feel like may be here. These people know. People know. This right here tells me that. And this leads me to believe that somebody else, and not just Noah, is responsible for the injuries that he succumbed to. And I think people are terrified of being exposed, and they want to keep it hidden. But it could come out. It could be coming out through rumor, through somebody revealing it at some point, if not now, maybe later down the road when they feel safe. But clearly, I think people know and they don't feel safe with what they know, and they're troubled by what they know. And I think the person or persons responsible are afraid of being found out. I think they might have dreams, disrupted sleep, but they have an that's the 9 of Swords. It's one of, like, you're right up there. You're nearly maxed out with the suit of the swords. Again, pardon the wound back. We have the 2 of Pentacles and the 6 of Wands. Now, this is somebody that wants to be seen as the winner. This is somebody that wants recognition. I don't know. Noah tended to grab the spotlight just by way of his charisma and his good looks. You can clearly tell that the girls in some of the video footage of the party were taking great delight in writing on him, and I think kind of flirting with him, but in a playful manner. This gives me a feeling of there's some mood swings with someone that needs attention themselves or wants attention, or maybe his being given so much attention may have started to wear thin. Okay. I'm getting the Knight of Pentacles. This is focus. Oh, this also makes me think this could be a younger person that is the link to it. I feel like a young male. But this also could be, actually, this could be Noah, because he's the Taurus. He didn't expect it. That's for sure with the Tower. This, to me, I think, is showing that Noah didn't anticipate the blows. And we're getting a blow to the crown, literally. Not for anything there. Nothing. You can see that we're picking up on a sudden, completely life-altering change. Huge. And it's disruptive. And it was not expected. If anything, it shows, I think, him being focused on something else. And then I do think, actually, that Knight of Pentacles is Noah. And I think it was trying to let me know he was not anticipating, he was not expecting a blow to his crown, his skull. That took him by surprise. Literally getting the feeling of he didn't know what hit him or who hit him. But here we have the Knight of Wands. I think this is another young person who's ready to get active. Yeah, and they feel like they are defending something, someone, or themselves. There's a very defensive mode this Knight of Wands has. And I feel like he's the striker. I feel like it's a masculine, younger energy, somebody closer to Noah's own age, that is responsible maybe for the, if not all the strikes that he received. I'm getting it's someone else other than Noah. And I'm getting that I'm not being shown a vehicle here. I'm being shown a person with a stick, no less, a wand. And we stay in the suit of wands with the Knight of Wands and the defensive posturing of of the Seven of Wands, along with the Knight of Wands. So together, it makes me feel like somebody came up and hit him either accidentally, which I think could have happened. They could have been swinging something around like a golf club or a baseball bat or something without enough care. But I think they then try and defend themselves, I think. Maybe they felt like they were trying to defend themselves. They're definitely feeling that way now because I feel like they don't want people to know that they are responsible for the blows that he succumbed to. I'm not really sure with these two cards if both the Noah and the person responsible were taken off guard and not expecting for it to connect, for that to happen. So it could be an accident that's being covered up. But I'm definitely getting more of a sense of a male that's moving around with that Knight of Wands energy, and there's a defensive energy that they're feeling like they need to. Maybe they have a stick or something again that they're armed with, literally. That's just weird. Okay, moving on. We get the Wheel of Fortune and the transition of the Six of Swords. This to me is change and things settling down and becoming clearer, but it also makes me really feel that we're being shown a transition, a change for Noah, and him being guided, I feel like, literally onto the other side. This also would have been, with the Wheel of Fortune, maybe a karmic debt or a instance of something he was working out in this life. I know it sounds crazy to say that, but with the Wheel of Fortune, it kind of tends to be something that may have been part of his plan, if you will, fate, part of his earth life plan, but that as a way of exiting. But to me, it looks like another young person is responsible for it. Here we get the family with the Ten of Pentacles and a King of Wands. Now that could be, typically the king is somebody that's an adult, 21 and 18 and over, but usually 21 and over, a little older, a little bit more mature than a 19-year-old. So I'm getting a more mature energy, maybe a father or a family member, a male family member of the family that was having the party with that Ten of Pentacles. This person feels like they're connected as well. Maybe somebody from the family that was having the do took action. There's another masculine energy here, and I feel like it's around perhaps this younger person that I think is responsible for causing the wounds. Okay. We get a great deal of skill here. We're looking at with the Eight of Pentacles and a childlike energy in the past. So I think somebody knows how to deal with this kind of thing, maybe from the past, maybe also it could be a parent that knows that their child might have been connected to this, and they're they could be getting like a lawyer, like somebody that's special counsel. It's skilled. And it could be like for a child and something to do with the past. There is a connection. And I'm just going to pull a few more. Yeah, we're shown that there are, again, there was something, this card's come up so many times, the Seven of Swords in his case, and we get the Star. Something could come out later. Something could come out later that is very shady, that will show deceit. It could show that something was actually removed or taken away. And also, literally, someone thought they were going to get away with it, and now they're under the spotlight. Or if they're not under the law enforcement spotlight, they're under the public spotlight with regard to this. I tend to think the things that have been kept quiet are going to trickle out at some point. It's going to come out. And there is hope also when you get this card, that more understanding of what went on, what really happened, may come out. There, it shows a great deal of, I think, also high public interest. And people have an intuitive sense that something's not quite right. You know, something is off with this case. Yes, there's a stall. There's a time. I see a woman that may play a significant role, an adult woman. Maybe she's going to be able to come across more information or have some more information cross her. But this could even be one of Noah's family members for all I know. But I see like there's initially being in a state of suspension, not able to move forward. But this is a time, though, of enlightenment and a time to pay attention and see things from a different perspective. So I do feel like there is going to be a delay with the case. It does show that way. There's something very much contingent on, I think, connected to a woman. I think there's something that information or something that she may be able to bring out into the spotlight later down the road. But I'm getting a younger person initially as the person that may have caused that wounding that took his life. I'm not getting him, and I'm not getting like an older, more mature adult until later. I feel like that's, I think, in trying to cover up and just, you know, despite the spotlight, trying to cover it up, get away with it. Okay, I will close this reading with this: the Sun and the Magician. Something has been manipulated, and most of us believe that the crime scene, and I will say crime scene before I could stop it, I think it is a crime scene. Whether it was manslaughter, an unintended act, I think somebody else is the source of the wounding. And this means, excuse me, that the Sun is exposure of manipulation, of trying to manipulate the scene and create, using various skills here too, in order to point away or make things look other than what they are. There's definite manipulation that's gone on. And I think it will be exposed. I think we have maybe a law enforcement or another adult male energy here that does feel much more like law enforcement. that doesn't act, or that isn't sure, or this is maybe to me, the uncertainty of not putting the death as, I'm sorry, you know, they don't know what caused it per se, other than whatever caused those blunt force injuries. That's whatever killed him. But it's like they're not pushing to look into it. This person wasn't pushing to look. There's a stationary energy there, to me, that I sense. It's like they don't pursue something that they should have. Yeah. They take a risk with that as well. And it will have to do with actual, I think, material evidence that might get noticed. And this is also with footage, I think, too, things that were filmed that show the shenanigans, the playfulness, the foolishness as well that was going on at the party. There's something about seeing these pieces of evidence, whether it's his tooth and what was found around where his body was found, to, I think, the footage. Anything material based, actual footage from his body, the fooling around, the risky behavior, something is exposed. If you were swinging a club around and you let go of it, it could strike him. I think that the problem is that there wasn't just one strike. There was a few wounds, I believe. So, but just in case I'm wrong, there was at least one that caused his skull to break. Now, there could be a couple involved. There could be a couple that are trying to, I think, defend themselves. But look, the person has a bandaged skull here. The Nine of Wands often does speak of a wound to the upper body. And I've said that more than times than I can count on this channel. And so I'm thinking he could have, again, received those wounds. Once again, we have a wand. Was there some, perhaps, tension with romantic partners? Maybe. But I think there is a connection to, I think, potentially a couple that were there, a young couple, I would say, because the energy that I got with who brought the strike that impacted his head, I get a young person. And it's not until several cards later that I start to see more mature masculine cards come up. So it looks like adults stepped in and also didn't pursue certain things, perhaps. Didn't call it a suicide or a homicide and left it undetermined, for sure. But I think at the very least it's manslaughter. I do sense that there's some kind of tension, though, with that Nine of Wands and the Lovers. He may have come between, a relationship there. This is feeling alone and like you need help. And he was left on a dark, this is out in the country. This is a rural setting with the hermit. And he was alone. I think he wanted help. And I don't think that they got him that. That's also, if they may not have realized that he was maybe still holding on. But I think we're looking at him feeling like he was wanting to receive assistance or help. We get a King of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups. Again, I'm getting a masculine energy and family, and a male energy that wants to protect that. I think this is, again, speaking to perhaps family male members that want to kind of control the narrative and the details on this to protect, I believe, younger persons. And I think possibly a couple, particularly a male, that comes up. All right, now I'm just going to see if this was intentional. On Noah's end, I see him as being surprised with the tower. That's a surprise. Maybe it was a surprise for the person that may have swung or flung some kind of bat or stick or club. But why was Noah hit? Was Noah hit intentionally? Was Noah hit and wounded intentionally? Was it intentional? Did Noah receive these wounds intentionally? Was there an intention to cause harm? At the very least, was there any intention to cause harm to Noah? Or was this an accident, like manslaughter, like someone flinging it or swinging it and they don't realize that he's too close? Was there intention behind the wounds that Noah received that took his life? I get the Death card. And I get the Page of Cups. I tend to think there's immaturity here. So I don't know that it was intentional, but I do think it springs out of being immature. And with the cup, not being surprised as well. This card is often about a surprise as well. And this is the partying. This is, to me, who is responsible. I don't think that they necessarily meant to do it. They could have been angry. They could have been ignorant. They could have been being playful. But I don't think that the death was intentional. I do think it was preventable, because I think this was out of sheer preventable childish immaturity and lack of an awareness. Somebody's more into playing silly games than being more careful. They're not being mindful. I don't think it was intentional, but I do think when you combine people consuming various substance, you never know, everybody reacts differently. They may respond with being erratic, swinging stuff. You don't want to give people that have been drinking a set of golf clubs or a bat or anything like that. We get the Lovers again, and we get the Knight of Cups. There may have been some, again, there's a tension there with, I feel, a couple, an attraction, and potentially an approach that may not have been well received. A great deal of sorrow that would require guidance to deal with. It's a trauma. It's an injury. This, to me, is also him crossing over from his trauma, his injuries. So I'm not sure that somebody was really intending to kill him, but they ended up doing it out of being immature and thoughtless, I think even careless. Possibly as a result of maybe an unwanted or unappreciated approach that was flirty, or perhaps that person that swung felt was flirty. But again, I'm getting a feeling like I don't think this person was capable of critical thinking in what they did. And it's pretty reactionary with the page. We're not even getting a knight. It's down to child level, beginners. Okay. And again, we are getting that Queen of Pentacles. I think there's a woman, though, that at some point, maybe as she matures, is going to find it just too heavy to carry around anymore and wants to let loose of this, release this baggage that they're carrying around. So maybe a few years down the road, somebody's going to want to say something. Maybe sooner, I hope. I do get a female coming forward with information now, though. That's twice. Yeah, look at that. And look at the individual here. I feel like this person's going to want to give information, give evidence, give testimony, give something that, again, is reflective of what happened in this case, the truth. Yes. And where they hold back, I think there's a great deal of emotion. I think also, people were really under the influence and panicking, not wanting to deal with this. And interesting that this person is, I think he was laid out in a similar fashion somewhat I think he was on his stomach. But I'm feeling like they placed him on the road. That was definitely part of like staging, is what it feels like to me. These two cards feel like staging of the body. I also feel like, somebody here who can't hold their drink, that does not shouldn't drink. They don't metabolize it well. And here we go with the substance. Oh my God, and the devil. There's temptation. So just like what I was saying, I think because people are under the influence, they're not making good choices, and they're resorting to carelessness, and pettiness, childishness, so on and so forth. And this shows that this is a fantasy. This is being under the influence of something, various possible things. And this brings that home again of you are listening and paying, allowing your corrupt nature, your ego, to take the reins, to control your actions. And we're given that message once again of, because there was substance and people are not in charge, they're the better minded part of them is not in charge, we have the shadiness going on, and people up to the no good, making, not able to have critical thinking skills also. You know, there's just too much. And there is corruption. I think it shows that there's people that are trying to keep this case, you know, like it to be not moving forward. But I do think it's going to come out more yet. So we'll see, eh? All right. Since we're at 41 minutes, that's a long one. I'll leave it there. I think that we haven't heard the end of this case yet. I think later there's going to be more information that's going to come out with the son and getting the justice card and all that. It's tracking. So, yeah, you know, I think somebody may have even been mad at him or annoyed at him, but I also get more of not necessarily a sense of intention, although there could have been some tension. I don't think that it was intended to, that they meant to kill him. I think it was as a resort of folly, if you will, from being under the influence with the fool and the drink and the 7 of cups. People are not, they're out of sorts, you know. They're all over the place is what I get at that party. So I'll leave it there, and feel free to comment below on what your thoughts are, and keep it nice. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks, you guys, for waiting. I'm still working through stuff here at home, decluttering the house and being on bed rest with my wound vac. Anyway, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you in the next video.